Times, the Baltimore Afro-American newspaper, Scarsdale Inquirer, and the Journal News. She and her husband live in Ossining, New York, and Sarah closes Act 1 of our show this afternoon with Against the Clock. Please welcome Sarah Gracie White.
In 1964, I was a freshman at Morgan State College in Baltimore. I'd chosen Morgan because a young soldier on a train told me it was a party school. I loved it there, he said. You'll love it too. As the youngest daughter of a strict South Carolina single-parent school teacher mother, I was only allowed to go to school, the library, and church. I was in 12th grade before my mother allowed me to take company on Sunday evenings. The few boys brave enough to face her cold, unwelcoming stare sat on the sofa beside me and watched TV while she sat in her adjacent bedroom watching and listening to our conversation until the clock chimed 9 p.m. My Cinderella hour. I wanted a college where I'd be free from supervision. Mama's sudden death just before my graduation left me unmoored. Dreams of the freedom college life would afford me were dashed when I discovered that Morgan took seriously its duty to stand in loco parentis for its co-eds. That spring, I pledged a sorority. One evening, at the urging of 3 fellow pledgees who lived in my dorm, I broke curfew and went with them to an off-campus frat party. I was determined to finally have some fun. The punch was spiked and the music was loud as we danced wildly with Omega frat boys in celebration of our journey into Greekdom. I kept checking the Timex watch on my arm, anxious about getting back to Tubman House before 11 p.m. when the house mother, Mrs. Pendergrass, did room check to make sure that all her charges were settled in for the night. When the party broke up about 10:15, we piled into a green Hudson Hornet, driven by one of the frat boys, and sped back to campus. The plan was for us to sneak into Tubman House between the night watchman's hourly rounds. A fellow pledgee who hadn't gone to the party had agreed to open a side door and let us in around 11 p.m. We crouched behind some shrubbery in the middle of the grassy quadrangle that sat between the 2 women's dorms, waiting for the watchman to punch his time clock and leave the area. Instead, he lit a cigarette and sat smoking in the alcove near the side door, the door where we hoped to gain entry. The clock atop Holmes Hall began the first of 11 chimes. The air was chilly and the grass was damp against my face and legs. I began to shiver. If we couldn't get back into the dorm before room check, we'd all be expelled. I could almost hear my dead mother's voice. All of this because of a party. Her warnings about the dangers of following the crowd resounded in my head almost as loud as the clock tower's chimes. Time was running out. Through windows on the first floor of Tubman Hall, we could see the silhouette of someone walking back and forth along the hallway. Was it our fellow pledgee? Or was it Mrs. Pendergrass doing room check? Suddenly, a fire alarm went off. Within minutes, girls began to stream out of the dorm. Some were fully dressed, others wore coats over their night clothes. Amidst the chaos, we ran from our hiding place and joined the bevy of chattering girls. When Mrs. Pendergrass finally announced that it was safe to return inside, I made my way upstairs to my room and breathed a sigh of relief that my close call with getting expelled was over. It kept my heart racing long after I undressed and climbed into my cold bed. Years later, when I shared that story with a handsome young man I'd met on the dance floor at a Baltimore discotheque, "Let's have a drink and talk more before you rush off," he asked. I glanced at my watch. It was past midnight. I ordered a pina colada